She came as a maid to the Cowboys' ranch, but took the role too seriously. She had been looking for work for months. Every day was the same, checking job boards, calling numbers, and trying to stay hopeful even when her confidence was fading. Her name was Maya, and she had grown up in a small town where everyone knew each other's business. She didn't like that kind of life. She wanted to go somewhere new, where no one knew her past or her mistakes. She wanted a clean start. When she saw the listing for a maid job at a ranch, she felt a sudden spark of hope. The place sounded far away from everything she knew. It was a simple advertisement. Live-in maid needed for a ranch. Quiet, respectful, responsible. The words quiet and responsible stood out to her. It sounded like the kind of place where someone could work hard and not be judged. The ranch was in the countryside, far from the city's noise. Maya had never been to a real ranch before. She had seen them in movies, where the land seemed endless, and the people lived like they were part of nature. She wondered if the job would be as peaceful as it sounded. She was nervous, but she was also ready to try. The day she arrived, the sky was clear and the air smelled fresh. She drove down a long dirt road that seemed to go on forever. The trees were tall and the land looked open and calm. The ranch house appeared in the distance, simple and strong, with a wide porch and a small garden. It looked like a place that had been built to last. A man stepped out of the house and walked toward her. He was tall and had the kind of face that looked serious, even when he wasn't angry. His clothes were simple, like someone who worked outside most of the day. He wore a hat, and his boots were dusty. Maya could tell he was a cowboy just by the way he carried himself. He introduced himself as Ethan. He didn't smile much, but his voice was calm. He didn't ask many questions, and he didn't seem to want to talk too much. That made Maya nervous at first. She wondered if he was unfriendly or just used to being alone. Ethan showed her around the house and the ranch. It wasn't a big mansion, but it was clean and well kept. The kitchen was simple, the living room had a few old pictures, and the bedrooms were plain but comfortable. There was a small barn, a stable, and a few fields where the animals were kept. Everything looked organized. Ethan explained the rules clearly. Maya would live in the house, but she was expected to work hard. She would cook, clean, do laundry, and help with small chores. She would also be expected to respect the quietness of the place. No loud music, no late nights, and no visitors without permission. Ethan said it like it was normal, but Maya felt a little shocked by how strict he sounded. She didn't mind the rules. In fact, she felt relieved. Rules meant structure, and structure meant safety. She wanted to belong somewhere, and she hoped this place would give her that. The first night, Maya slept in a small room near the back of the house. She unpacked her things slowly, taking her time. She placed her clothes in the closet, set her small suitcase on the floor, and arranged a few personal items on the bedside table. She had brought only a few things, just what she needed. She didn't want to bring too much of her old life into this new place. She wanted to start fresh. When she woke up the next morning, the ranch was quiet. The sun was just rising and the birds were singing softly. She could hear the faint sound of animals moving in the fields. It felt peaceful, almost like the world had slowed down. Maya started her day early. She wanted to show Ethan that she was serious about the job. She made breakfast, cleaned the kitchen, and then went outside to see what needed to be done. She found a list of chores on a small board in the kitchen. The tasks were simple, but there were many of them. She fed the animals, swept the porch, washed the dishes, and began to clean the rooms. She worked quickly, moving from one task to another. She didn't want to waste any time. She wanted to prove she could handle the work. Ethan watched her quietly. He didn't say much, But Maya felt his eyes on her. She wondered if he was judging her. She wondered if he thought she was doing things wrong. She tried to focus on the work and not think too much about what he might be thinking. After a few hours, Ethan finally spoke. He asked her how she was doing and whether she had any questions. Maya shook her head and said she was fine. She didn't want to admit that she was feeling nervous. She didn't want to seem weak. Ethan nodded and went back to his own work. He didn't ask her to stop or to take a break. He simply trusted that she knew what she was doing. That surprised Maya. She wasn't used to being trusted like that. As the days passed, Maya became more comfortable with the routine. She learned the rhythm of the ranch. She learned when to feed the animals, when to clean, and when to rest. She began to feel like she was part of the place. But something else started to happen. Maya began to take her role more seriously than she should have. She didn't just want to do her job, she wanted to be perfect. She started to watch Ethan closely, noticing every detail. She noticed how he organized things, how he preferred the house to be kept, and how he moved around the ranch. She began to think that if she could copy his habits, she could become more like him. She wanted to belong not just as a worker, but as someone who understood the ranch completely. She started doing extra work without being asked. She would wake up earlier than needed and start cleaning. She would organize the pantry, even though it was already clean. He would arrange the furniture in a slightly different way, believing it would make the house feel more comfortable. She didn't say anything to Ethan about these changes. She just did them. Maya felt a strange sense of satisfaction when she finished a task. It was like she was proving something to herself. She had always felt like she was behind in life, like she was always trying to catch up. Here she felt like she was finally getting ahead. The ranch was giving her a chance to be useful, and she didn't want to waste it. But her hard work also came with a hidden fear. She worried that if she didn't do everything perfectly, Ethan would decide she wasn't good enough. She worried that if she made a mistake, she would lose her chance to stay. That fear made her work even harder. One evening after a long day, Maya sat on the porch and watched the sun set. The sky turned orange and pink, and the ranch looked calm and quiet. She felt a deep sense of peace. But she also felt something else, a strong need to belong. She thought about her past. She remembered the time she had been judged, the time she had been told she was not good enough. She remembered the feeling of being alone. She didn't want to feel that way again. She wanted this place to be her new home. Maya looked at the ranch house and imagined herself living there for a long time. She imagined becoming part of the family, even if there was no family to begin with. She imagined being accepted. At that moment, she didn't realize how her intense feelings were slowly changing her. She didn't realize that she was starting to blur the line between her job and her life. She didn't realize that her desire to belong might one day cause trouble. For now, she was happy. She felt useful and respected. She felt like she had finally found a place where she could be herself without fear. And she was ready to keep working hard, no matter what it took. Maya had settled into the routine of the ranch. The days were long, but they were steady. She woke up early, fed the animals, cleaned the house, and made meals. She did her work carefully, and she tried to do more than what was expected. She felt proud of herself for being able to handle the tasks. The ranch was not easy, but she liked the quiet and the clear schedule. Ethan was still quiet and serious. He didn't talk much, but he always made sure the ranch was running smoothly. Maya could see that he cared deeply about the land and the animals. He did not complain, and he did not ask for help. He simply worked. Maya respected him for that. She wanted to earn his trust. One morning, As Maya was cleaning the kitchen, she noticed a small notebook on the table. It was old and worn, with pages that looked like they had been used for a long time. The notebook had a list of chores and a few notes about the animals. It looked like it belonged to Ethan. Maya picked it up carefully. She felt a strange curiosity. She wondered why the notebook was left out in the open. She wondered if Ethan wanted her to see it. She read a few lines, but she stopped quickly. She felt like she was crossing a line. She returned the notebook to the table and tried to focus on her work, but the notebook stayed in her mind. She thought about it throughout the day. She wondered what it meant. She wondered if Ethan trusted her enough to share his private notes. She began to feel like she was becoming part of the ranch in a deeper way. As days passed, Maya started noticing small details that she had not seen before. She noticed how Ethan always checked the fences carefully. She noticed how he talked to the animals softly, as if he was speaking to them like friends. She noticed how he always made sure the house was clean before he sat down to eat. Maya started trying to be more like him. She tried to move quietly, like him. She tried to be careful with her words. She wanted to show that she respected the ranch and the life it represented. She believed that if she could become more like Ethan, she would be more accepted. She also began to take on more responsibilities. She started managing the schedule for the household. She wrote down chores for herself and for the few workers who came to help sometimes. She began to plan meals for the week and bought groceries in advance. She even started fixing small things around the house, like a loose door handle or a broken shelf. At first, Ethan did not say anything. He simply noticed what she was doing and moved on. But Maya could feel the tension inside her. She felt like she was doing something wrong, even though she believed she was helping. One afternoon, a man arrived at the ranch. He was a local farmer who came to sell some supplies. Maya greeted him politely and offered him water. She felt proud of herself for being able to speak confidently. The man was friendly, and he asked about the ranch. Maya answered his questions and tried to make him feel welcome. Ethan watched the conversation quietly. When the man left, Ethan said, "You handled that well." Maya felt a rush of happiness. She wanted his approval more than anything. She nodded and said, "Thank you." But later that day, Maya began to worry. She wondered if Ethan thought she was trying to act like the owner of the ranch. She wondered if he thought she was overstepping. She started to feel unsure of herself. That night, she stayed awake for a long time. She thought about her life before the ranch. She remembered the days when she felt lost and uncertain. She remembered the times she had to depend on others, and how she always felt like she was a burden. She didn't want to feel that way again. She looked at the ranch from her window. The land looked peaceful in the moonlight. She wanted to be part of that peace. She wanted to be someone who was needed, someone who mattered. Maya began to imagine a future where she was more than just a maid. She imagined being in charge of the house and maybe even helping Ethan with the ranch. She imagined making decisions that would make the ranch better. She imagined being the person who kept everything running smoothly. The next day, Maya woke up early again. She started cleaning, but this time she felt different. She felt a sense of ownership. She felt like the ranch was becoming her home. She began to act like she belonged there, not just as a worker, but as someone who was part of the family. She started making small changes around the house. She rearranged the kitchen items so they were easier to find. She organized the cleaning supplies. She made the bedrooms look more comfortable. She even started planting flowers near the porch, thinking that the house would look nicer with some color. Ethan noticed the flowers. He did not say much, but he looked at them carefully. He seemed surprised, but not unhappy. Maya felt proud of herself again. She felt like she was making the ranch more beautiful. But then something happened that made her feel uneasy. A neighbor came by and asked if Ethan was okay. He seemed worried about Ethan. The neighbor mentioned that Ethan had been working too hard and that he should take a break sometimes. Maya felt a strange feeling in her chest. She realized that Ethan had been working alone for a long time. She realized that he might be tired and that he might not have anyone to talk to. She felt a strong desire to help him, not just with chores, but with his life. That desire grew stronger each day. Maya began to watch Ethan more closely. She watched how he handled stress. She watched how he reacted when things went wrong. She watched how he behaved when he was alone. She started thinking that maybe Ethan needed someone to care for him, someone to share the ranch with. She started imagining herself as that person. She imagined being the one who could support him and make his life easier. This was when things started to change. Maya's feelings began to shift from simply doing a job to wanting to be a part of Ethan's life. She didn't realize how strong her feelings had become. She didn't realize how much she was hoping for a connection. She began to feel jealous when Ethan spoke to other people. She felt a strange anger when he had to leave the ranch for a short time. She started thinking that she was the only one who truly cared about the ranch and the work. She started believing that Ethan should appreciate her more. Maya didn't tell Ethan any of this. She kept her feelings inside because she didn't want to seem strange or needy. She thought that if she worked harder, Ethan would understand her. She thought that if she proved her worth, he would trust her more. But her behavior was slowly changing. She began to act like she was responsible for everything, even when she was not asked to be. She began to feel like she had to control things to make sure everything stayed perfect. She began to believe that if she didn't take charge, the ranch would fall apart. Ethan noticed the change. He started to feel uneasy. He could sense that Maya was becoming more involved than she should be. He did not know how to talk to her about it. He did not want to hurt her feelings, but he also did not want her to misunderstand the role she had. One day, Ethan called Maya into the kitchen. He spoke calmly and clearly. He said, "Maya, you're doing good work. I appreciate it. But I need you to remember your job is to help, not to manage. I have things I handle on my own." Maya felt a sharp pain in her chest. She didn't know how to respond. She felt like she had failed. She had thought that her hard work would make Ethan proud. She had thought that her efforts would bring her closer to him. Instead, she felt like she was being pushed away. She nodded silently. She didn't say anything. She walked out of the kitchen and tried to keep working. But inside, she felt a strong mix of emotions. She felt sadness, confusion, and anger. She felt like she had been misunderstood. She felt like she was trying to help, but Ethan didn't see it that way. That night, Maya sat alone in her room. She stared at the ceiling and tried to calm her thoughts. She wondered if she had made a mistake. She wondered if she had been too ambitious. She wondered if she had been trying too hard to belong. She thought about leaving. She thought about going back to the city. She thought about returning to her old life, even though it was hard. But the idea of leaving the ranch made her feel scared. She didn't want to go back to feeling lost. She realized that she had started to rely on the ranch for her happiness. She realized that she had placed too much hope on this job. She realized that she needed to find balance. Maya made a decision. She would continue working, but she would stop trying to control everything. She would focus on doing her job well, without trying to become more than what she was. She hoped that Ethan would understand. She hoped that he would see her efforts as kindness, not as control. She hoped that she could still feel like she belonged, even if she had to accept the limits of her role. The next morning, Maya woke up early again. She started her work quietly, without making any changes or taking charge. She tried to keep her feelings inside. She tried to focus only on the tasks, but she could not stop thinking about the way Ethan had spoken to her. She could not stop feeling the need to be accepted. She knew that her feelings were growing stronger, and she worried about what would happen next. Maya tried to keep her promise to herself. She focused on her chores and tried not to get too involved in the ranch's deeper matters. She did her work quietly and with care. She made sure the house was clean, the meals were prepared, and the animals were fed. She did everything as if she was simply doing her job. Ethan continued to act as he always did, quiet, serious, and focused on his work. He did not talk much, but he made sure the ranch was running well. He began to trust Maya's work more. He felt relieved that she was taking care of the house and the daily tasks. But the change in Maya did not last long. She found it hard to stop herself from wanting more. She still cared deeply about the ranch. She still wanted to be a part of it in a bigger way. She still wanted Ethan to see her as more than just a helper. One morning, Maya was cleaning the living room when she noticed that the books on the shelf were not arranged neatly. She had seen the same books arranged differently before. She felt a small irritation. She felt like the house needed to be organized in a certain way. She believed that if everything was in order, the ranch would feel more peaceful. Without thinking, she began to rearrange the books. She put them in a neat line and organized them by size. She even straightened the picture frames on the wall. She felt a sense of calm as she worked. She felt like she was making the house better. Ethan walked in and saw what she was doing. He stopped for a moment and looked at her. He did not say anything. Maya felt a sudden fear. She wondered if he was angry. But then Ethan spoke in a calm voice. He said, "It's okay. You can arrange things if you want, but you don't need to worry so much. The house is already fine." Maya felt a wave of relief. She smiled softly and nodded. She felt happy that Ethan was not upset. She thought maybe she was being accepted after all. However, she still felt unsure. She still felt like she needed to prove herself. She still felt like she had to earn her place. She still believed that if she did more, Ethan would respect her more. That week, a small problem came up on the ranch. One of the fences had broken, and the animals had wandered close to the road. It was not a dangerous situation, but it needed to be fixed quickly. Ethan had been working late and had not noticed the problem. Maya saw the situation and felt a rush of responsibility. She knew she should tell Ethan, but she also felt like she should do something herself. She didn't want to bother him. She didn't want to appear weak. So she went out and began fixing the fence herself. She had never done this kind of work before, but she had watched Ethan many times. She tried to follow his actions. She worked carefully, hammering the boards and tying the rope. She felt proud of herself for trying. When Ethan finally saw what she was doing, he stopped and stared. He did not say anything for a moment. Maya felt her heart beat faster. She wondered if she had done something wrong. Ethan walked over and gently stopped her. He said, "Maya, thank you for helping, but this is my job. I need to do it." Maya felt a strong feeling of disappointment. She had wanted to help. She had wanted to be useful. She had thought that if she took care of the problem, Ethan would see that she was capable. But Ethan's words made her feel like she was not needed. She felt like her efforts were not appreciated. She felt like she was still just a maid, not a partner or a friend. After that day, Maya became more quiet. She tried to hide her feelings. She continued to do her chores, but she stopped trying to take charge. She tried to follow Ethan's rules and stay in her role. But inside, she felt a growing emptiness. She felt like she was living in a house that belonged to someone else. She felt like she was a guest in a place that she wanted to call her home. One evening, Maya decided to talk to a friend on the phone. She called her old neighbor from her hometown. She told her friend about the ranch and how she was doing. She didn't tell her everything, but she shared some of her feelings. Her friend listened and then said, "Maya, it sounds like you are trying too hard. You're not just working there. You are trying to become part of the ranch, but you need to remember your boundaries." Maya felt a sharp pain in her chest. She knew her friend was right, but she didn't want to admit it. She wanted to believe that she could become part of the ranch, that she could be more than just a worker. She wanted to believe that she could be someone important to Ethan. After the call, Maya went back to the ranch and tried to act normal. She cooked dinner and cleaned the kitchen. She tried to smile and be polite. She tried to ignore the feelings inside her. But the next day, she woke up feeling restless. She couldn't focus on her work. She kept thinking about the fence incident and Ethan's words. She kept thinking about her own desires. She kept thinking about how she had imagined her future. Maya realized that she needed something more than the ranch could offer. She needed a sense of belonging, and she needed someone to talk to. She realized that she had been lonely, even though she was surrounded by work. So she began to look for small ways to connect. She started talking to Ethan more, trying to find moments when he was relaxed. She would ask him about his day or about the animals. She would try to make conversation when he was around. Ethan was polite, but he kept the conversation short. He didn't open up much. Maya could see that he was a private person. He didn't like to share his feelings. That made it hard for Maya to feel close to him. Still, she tried. She wanted to build a connection. She wanted to show that she cared. She wanted to show that she was not just a worker, but someone who could understand him. One day, Ethan asked Maya to help with a simple task, cleaning the barn. It was a difficult job, but Maya agreed. She went to the barn and started working. She found that she enjoyed the physical work. It was different from cleaning the house. It felt more real, more honest. She felt like she was doing something meaningful. While they worked, Ethan said, "You did well today." Maya felt a small smile appear on her face. She felt happy that he had noticed. She felt like maybe there was hope. But later that day, something happened that made Maya's heart sink. Ethan received a phone call and looked worried. He didn't say much, but Maya could tell it was serious. He left the ranch for a few hours, leaving Maya alone. Maya felt a strange feeling of fear. She realized how much she depended on the ranch and on Ethan. She realized that if he left, she would be alone again. She realized that she didn't have anyone else here. She tried to stay calm. She continued her work and waited for him to return. But she couldn't stop thinking about what the call might mean. She wondered if Ethan was sick or if something had happened to his family. She felt a deep concern for him. When Ethan returned, he was quiet. He didn't talk much. Maya asked him if everything was okay, but he only said, "I'm fine." Maya wanted to believe him, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She felt helpless. She wanted to help him, but she didn't know how. That night, Maya lay in bed and thought about her life. She realized that she had been trying to build a life here, but she had not prepared herself for the reality of being alone. She realized that she needed to accept the fact that the ranch was not a place where she could find everything she wanted. She realized that she had to be careful. She realized that her feelings were becoming stronger. and that if she didn't control them, she might make a mistake. Maya decided to be more careful. She decided to focus on her work and not let her feelings take over. She decided to keep her distance emotionally, but even with her decision, she knew it would be hard. She knew that the ranch had become a part of her life. She knew that she would continue to feel the pull of belonging, and she knew that the next days would be challenging because she had to find a way to balance her feelings with her reality. Maya woke up that morning with a heavy feeling. She had tried to keep her emotions under control, but the silence of the ranch made her thoughts louder. She could not stop thinking about how she had started to feel like she belonged. She could not stop thinking about Ethan and how he seemed distant sometimes. She tried to focus on her work. She fed the animals, cleaned the house, and prepared breakfast. She moved through the tasks with a steady rhythm, but her mind was not fully present. She felt like she was living in two worlds, one where she was a hard-working maid, and another where she was a person who wanted more. As the day passed, she found herself watching Ethan more than usual. She watched the way he moved around the ranch, the way he spoke to the animals, and the way he looked at the horizon. She tried to understand him. She tried to read his emotions. She wanted to know what he was thinking. Ethan noticed her watching him. He felt a little uncomfortable. He was not used to being watched like that. He had always been a private person. He liked to work alone and keep his thoughts to himself. He did not like the idea that someone was trying to understand him too closely. That afternoon, Ethan called Maya into the kitchen. He had a serious expression on his face. Maya felt her heart beat faster. She wondered what he wanted to talk about. Ethan spoke calmly. He said, "Maya, I need to talk to you about something." Maya nodded and sat down at the table. She felt nervous, but she tried to stay calm. Ethan continued, "I have noticed that you have been taking on more responsibility than you should. You are doing things that are not part of your job. I appreciate your help, but I need you to remember that this is my ranch. I am responsible for it." Maya felt her chest tighten. She wanted to explain herself, but she didn't know how. She had been trying to help because she cared. She had been trying to show that she was reliable. She had been trying to be part of the ranch. Ethan continued, "I also feel like you are becoming too attached. You are watching me too closely. You are trying to be involved in my life in a way that is not appropriate." Maya's eyes filled with tears. She did not cry often. She had always been strong. But hearing those words made her feel like she was being judged. She felt like she had failed. She tried to speak, but her voice shook. She said, "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to help. I thought I was doing a good job." Ethan sighed. He looked tired. He said, "You are doing a good job with the chores, but you need to stop trying to be more than that. I cannot share my life with you. I have my own responsibilities and my own space." Maya felt a cold sadness spread through her. She had hoped for something else. She had hoped that her hard work would mean more to him. She had hoped that she could belong. She looked down at her hands. She felt embarrassed. She had never felt this kind of rejection before. She had never felt like her feelings were too much for someone else. Ethan stood up and said, "I want to be clear. I appreciate you, but you need to respect the boundaries. If you cannot do that, then we need to talk about whether this job is right for you." Maya felt her heart drop. She knew that Ethan was serious. She knew that her actions had consequences. She knew that she had pushed too far. She stood up slowly and nodded. She said, "I understand." Ethan nodded and left the kitchen. Maya sat alone for a moment, feeling the weight of the conversation. she tried to hold back her tears. She didn't want Ethan to see her crying. After Ethan left, Maya felt a mix of emotions. She felt anger at herself for getting too involved. She felt sadness for losing her dream. She felt fear for what might happen next. She felt a sense of shame for not being able to control her feelings. She tried to focus on her work again. She cleaned the house, cooked dinner, and fed the animals. She tried to do everything perfectly, hoping that her work would speak for her. She hoped that Ethan would see that she could respect his boundaries. But the conversation stayed in her mind. She could not stop thinking about it. She kept replaying Ethan's words in her head. She kept thinking about how she had been wrong. She kept thinking about how she had made the situation uncomfortable. That night, she could not sleep. She sat on the porch and looked at the stars. The sky was clear and the air was cold. She felt small under the vast sky. She thought about her life before the ranch. She thought about the times she had felt lost. She thought about the times she had tried to be someone she was not. She realized that she had been trying to fix her life by changing her role. She had been trying to become someone else. She had been trying to become the kind of person who was strong, important, and needed. She had been trying to fill a hole inside her with work and belonging. But she realized that this was not the right way. She realized that she needed to find her own strength, not through someone else's approval. She realized that she needed to accept herself for who she was. The next day, Maya woke up with a heavy heart, but also with a sense of clarity. She knew she needed to change. She knew she needed to return to her original role. She knew she needed to respect the boundaries Ethan had set. She began the day by cleaning the house quietly. She focused on the tasks and tried not to think about anything else. She kept her distance from Ethan and did not try to talk to him more than necessary. Ethan noticed the change. He saw that Maya was following his instructions. He saw that she was doing her job without trying to take control. He felt a sense of relief. He hoped that the situation would improve. But Maya was not happy. She felt like she had lost something important. She felt like she had given up a dream. She felt like she had been forced to accept a life that was not what she wanted. She felt lonely. She felt like she was living in a place where she did not belong. She felt like she was a visitor in a house that she wanted to call her home. As the days passed, Maya began to think about her future. She realized that she could not stay at the ranch forever if she felt this way. She realized that she needed to find a life where she could feel respected and valued without losing herself. She began to make plans. She started thinking about saving money, finding another job, and building a life where she could be independent. She started thinking about her own dreams again, not just about being part of someone else's life. Maya did not know what the future would bring. She did not know if she would find another job soon. She did not know if she would ever feel that sense of belonging again. But she knew one thing. She would not lose herself again. She would not let her desire to belong control her life. She would not let her feelings push her into a situation where she felt uncomfortable. She would find her own path, even if it was difficult. That night, Maya packed a small bag. She didn't leave the ranch yet, but she was preparing herself. She wanted to be ready if she needed to go. She wanted to be prepared for whatever came next. She placed the bag under her bed and looked at the room. She thought about how much she had changed since arriving at the ranch. She thought about how she had learned to work hard, but also how she had learned to accept herself. She knew that the next part of her story would be the hardest. She knew that she would have to face the consequences of her choices. She knew that she would have to decide whether to stay or leave, and she knew that whatever she chose, she would be stronger because of it. Maya had spent many weeks on the ranch. She had learned the routine, the work, and the quiet way of life. She had also learned a hard lesson about her own heart. She had learned that her desire to belong had become too strong. She had learned that she had crossed a line by trying to become more than what she was hired to be. After the conversation with Ethan, Maya had changed her behavior. She returned to her duties and followed the rules. She kept her distance. She tried to stay focused on the work, but the truth was, she still felt the same emptiness inside. She still felt like she was missing something. The ranch felt calm and quiet, but Maya felt restless. She had started to plan her future. She had started to save money. She had started to think about leaving the ranch if she needed to. She wanted to feel free again. One afternoon, a storm approached. The sky turned dark and the wind began to blow. The animals became restless, and the ranch felt tense. Maya and Ethan worked quickly to secure everything. They closed the doors, checked the fences, and moved the animals to a safe area. Working together in the storm brought back a sense of connection. Maya saw a different side of Ethan. He was focused and calm, even when the weather was difficult. She saw how much he cared about the ranch and the animals. She also realized that he was not as distant as she thought. He simply did not share his feelings easily. As the storm passed, the air felt fresh and clean. The ranch looked peaceful again. Maya felt a sense of relief. She also felt a sense of sadness. She realized that the storm had reminded her of the way she had hoped the ranch would be her home. That night, after the storm, Ethan sat at the kitchen table with a cup of tea. Maya was cleaning the dishes quietly. She tried not to think too much about the past. She tried to stay calm and focused. Ethan looked at her and said, "Maya, you did good work today. Thank you." Maya felt a small warmth in her chest. It was not the same warmth she had felt before, but it was real. She nodded and said, "Thank you." Ethan continued, "I have been thinking. I want to make sure you understand something. You are a good worker. You are reliable. But this ranch is not a place for you to build your life. It is a place for work." Maya listened carefully. She felt a mix of emotions. She felt grateful for his honesty, but she also felt the pain of being reminded of her limits. She tried to hide her feelings and kept cleaning. Ethan added, "I want you to be safe. I want you to have a future. I don't want you to feel stuck here." Maya stopped for a moment. She looked at Ethan. She realized that he was not trying to hurt her. He was trying to help her see the truth. He was trying to protect her. She felt a deep respect for him. She realized that he was not a cold person. He was simply someone who did not show his emotions easily. He cared in his own way. Maya nodded slowly and said, "I understand." That night, Maya went to her room and opened the small bag she had packed earlier. She looked at her belongings and thought about what she wanted to do next. She thought about leaving the ranch, but she also thought about staying a little longer. She knew that leaving would be hard. She knew that she would miss the quiet life and the work. She knew that she would miss the sense of purpose she had found. But she also knew that staying would not solve her feelings. It would only keep her trapped in a place where she could not grow. Maya decided to speak with Ethan the next day. She wanted to be honest with him. She wanted to tell him how she felt and what she planned to do. She wanted to make sure there were no misunderstandings. The next morning, Maya prepared breakfast and set the table. She waited for Ethan to sit down. When he did, she took a deep breath and spoke. "Ethan," she said, "I want to thank you for giving me a chance. This ranch has taught me a lot, but I think it's time for me to move on." Ethan looked at her carefully. He did not react right away. He waited for her to continue. Maya continued, "I have been thinking about my future. I want to find a place where I can build my life. I want to be independent. I want to learn new things. I want to feel like I belong somewhere, but not in a way that makes me feel trapped." Ethan listened quietly. He nodded slowly and said, "I understand." Maya felt a sense of relief. She felt like a weight had been lifted. She felt proud of herself for speaking honestly. Ethan continued, "I respect your decision. I want you to leave on good terms. I will give you a reference if you need it." Maya smiled. She felt grateful. She realized that Ethan was being kind in his own way. He was showing respect by supporting her decision. Over the next few days, Maya prepared to leave. She packed her things carefully. She cleaned the house one last time. She made sure everything was in order. She wanted to leave with a clean heart and a clear conscience. On her last day, Ethan walked her to the edge of the property. The sky was clear and the air was fresh. The ranch looked beautiful. Maya felt a deep sadness, but she also felt hope. She turned to Ethan and said, "Thank you for everything." Ethan nodded and said, "You did well here. You are capable of great things." Maya smiled. She felt a strong sense of pride. She realized that she had grown during her time on the ranch. She had learned how to work hard, how to respect boundaries, and how to find strength inside herself. She also realized that she had learned something more important. She had learned that belonging cannot be forced. Belonging must come naturally, and it must be based on mutual respect. Maya walked down the road, leaving the ranch behind. She looked back one last time. The house stood quietly, and the land stretched out under the sky. She felt a mix of emotions: sadness, gratitude, and hope. She knew that she would never forget the ranch or the lessons she learned there. She knew that the experience would always be part of her story. As she walked away, she thought about the future. She thought about the new life she would build. She thought about the independence she would earn. She thought about the person she had become. Maya knew that she would be okay, and she knew that the next chapter of her life would be written by her own hands.